I'm used to speaking from podiums.
Everything's ready, Anna? Okay. Okay, it is 2:21. We will now go into open session. First thing on the agenda, the signing of the minutes in November 17th, 2025 board meeting has been completed. Everyone has signed their claim and travel vouchers. That's complete. Next item on the agenda, since the retirement of Tom Weiss back in December, we now have a new board member to introduce. We've all met Michael, but we will formally now introduce Michael Gannon as our new board member for the State Police Board. And Mike, we will turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself to everyone else who may be watching and tell us a little bit about your background and your history.
30 seconds or less.
Oh, yeah, 30 seconds. Yes. Well, first of all, it's an honor, and I'm totally humbled and appreciative to even be on the board. So thank you for obviously the appointment and being able to serve. A little bit about myself. I was a DEA agent prior to my retirement. I'm currently a vice president at First Internet Bank, right now overseeing a fraud operations department. With my career with DEA, I worked for about 20 years in South Florida. During that time period, I was in obviously narcotics-related investigations and started to get into management for DEA in 2008. And during that time, I had several leadership positions within the Miami Field Division. And as DEA typically does, they send people to a headquarters rotation. And when I did that, I served for about 4 years in our Office of Professional Responsibility, our internal affairs. And then after you do a rotation there, you usually get an opportunity to be in a higher level management position. And I was blessed to oversee operations for DEA here in Indianapolis, and then obviously had a great working relationship with the men and women of the state police and various law enforcement entities here in Indiana. So my background was DEA Miami and DEA Indiana, and prior to that I was a police officer for a short time in Rhode Island. So I'm honored to be here and look forward to it. So thank you.
Well, welcome and congratulations on your appointment. So
Appreciate it.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Yep, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, Superintendent, you have an introduction to make as well.
Yes,
correct?
so Sam Frame, our new ISP protocol and events coordinator, took the job of Todd Harless, who served in that role before. So Sam, I'll let Sam tell you a little bit about his background. It's kind of gloomy at the start. He worked in funeral homes a little bit before he worked in the governor's office for quite a while. But I'll let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about where he comes from and what he does for us.
Born and raised in Pulaski County, Winamac. Born into a funeral home family, raised and actually lived in the funeral home. Went to work in the funeral home after high school and college. Owned the funeral home for 35 years. Family business with my brother until I retired at age 55 and came down here to work for Mike Pence in the governor's office. I served on his advance team for a year until he went to the White House. Eric Holcomb and I were good friends, so Eric asked me to stay with him. I became Holcomb's scheduler and only advanced person. In comparison, Pence had 4 advanced people. Eric Holcomb had 1 advanced person. And I did that along with his scheduling. So I was very versatile with the office. Spent all 8 years with Eric. Stayed on with the Braun administration until July when they asked me to come over here and fill in. And thanks to Rob and Shay and the leadership, they found what they thought was the perfect position for me as protocol, running the events. Which is exactly what I did in the governor's office for 9 years. So, and of course, as a funeral director, you run, our funeral home did 150 funerals a year, so that's 150 events. You had to be very flexible and on the go and good with people, and that's why Mike Pence offered me a job, and that's why Eric kept me, and hopefully I can do the same thing here.
We've just asked him to be a little more upbeat than the funeral. We've asked him to kind of pick it up a little bit.
And we did talk about blood draws a little
We
bit.
did talk about blood draws.
Yeah, blood draws, so just a little bit more volume. And I'm not sure, Mr. Gannon, if you ever visited Governor Holcomb's office, because you look familiar.
Excuse me, whose office?
Governor Holcomb's office?
Yes, I have.
That's,
Yeah,
I thought you looked familiar.
yeah. Well, thank you.
But yeah, so I've been around the building, now entering my 11th year. So looking forward to serving. We got a great leadership team here. I could give you some tips in an executive session without them here. But yeah, I got quite a bit of a background between the funeral business, coroner's office, public service back home. I was county council president for 13 years, town council, served on the State Republican Central Committee for a number of years. So state licensing board for the funeral home, so funeral industry. So I've been around and happy to be here. This is a nice way to kind of ride out my retirement. So I'll be here as long as they'll keep me here.
Thanks, Sam. Glad to have you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sound like you need some hobbies.
Right here is my hobby. Go Hoosiers.
Okay, next item on the agenda, staff report, Colonel Relaford.
Afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. As of January 1st, 2026, what you see in our spreadsheet that you'll get every month, it's going to show a total of 1,139 troopers. Mr. Gannon, for you, as you're looking at the top there, that's how many troopers are assigned to each area or district on the agency. And then you see a more breakdown that you can obviously read for yourself in terms of how many people we have on disability, military leave, and then our Capitol Police section. And then on the back is what you'll see is those troopers that are pending retirement. So they turn in a letter that says they're going to retire, and these are dates that they're going to be off the books.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then those that are on military leave, we'll get that updated. And next month, I think we got the updated version. But those that are on long-term military leave, we have 4 that are gone at least a month. Most of them have been gone for a year. And then it'll tell the date that they're supposed to return from military leave. As far as current recruit classes, our 89th Lateral Academy, we started with 7 recruits on January 18th. And as of at least right now, they're all still there. There'll be a 9-week academy and going in strong. So they started firearms this week. Last week they did their 2-on-1 hit band. So that's kind of the pillar of our academy where they have to fight 2 bad guys that are really suited up. And the point is for you not to quit, but you're not likely going to win that. And so you learn a lot from it that you don't ever want to put yourself in that situation. So they all got through that and moving on to the next. So they got to heal up over the weekend and come back and learn how to shoot guns this week. Our 90th Academy is set to start June 7th. Today was our last testing date. They're currently out doing their PT tests. So hopefully they run really fast so they're not in the cold very long today. But we should know how many passed after today. 96 showed up. We haven't had that many people for as far as I can remember at one testing date. So that's great news for us. And so within the pipeline of how many have tested, we're at about 180 right now that are proceeding going to polygraph and then hopefully background and so forth. Our motor carrier inspectors, we had 12 presented at the superintendent review last week, and which 9 received conditional offers and are going to be moving on to the psychological phase of the process. And that is all I have, anyone has any questions for me.
When do the laterals finish.
I got the date for you. Give me just a second.
Have it as March 19th.
That sounds right. Thank you.
So
March 19th.
historically, from the time you have the PT session approximately, what is the usual survival rate, so to speak?
So there's a lot of numbers that entail there, but usually it's starting off with people that show up. Is usually our biggest cut is by over 50% of people not even showing up for the initial testing. We've had about a 70% show up rate in this process. And then we have not had anyone fail the written exam this process. And then we're having about 85% that are passing the PT test. And then the next will be the polygraph. Right now, we're at a 70% pass rate of the ones that have already taken the polygraph. So percentage-wise, we're looking better than we have in the past.
It's a good sign.
It's a great sign.
Is it a pretty diverse group, males, females?
It is, we have about a 35% non-white male in the process right now.
I saw you were advertising for chaplain's school. What's it called and what does that entail?
Great question. That's a part of the expansion of our wellness section.
Okay,
And so we right now have about 20 active chaplains throughout the state, and we're looking to expand that to 100 throughout the state to be a part of our it's volunteer chaplains to be a part of our wellness section. We've had great feedback so far. Father Coffee is helping fill that and those applications that come in and interview all of those. We've been getting a lot of feedback from employees recommending chaplains for the wellness section. So going to be pretty in-depth training and resource, and we'll make sure that they have all the tools that they need for the Indiana State Police to be successful.
so is it like a separate school? Is it like a 2-week thing? Is it a Saturdays thing? What does?
It is ongoing training, so they're going to make
Okay.
sure that they have all their, obviously their certifications for, as a chaplaincy, as a chaplain. And then also for looking at our peer support, providing them with training from the peer support and wellness side of the wellness section to make sure that they have the tools, same tools that our peer supporters have. And so that's ongoing. So there's an initial 3-day training for the peer supporters, but then there's continuous education.
How extensive of a background investigation is done on chaplains?
You'd be surprised, no matter what position you are, whether you're a trooper or a chaplain, you get the same background. And so it's very extensive in that aspect. We want our people to be able to be trusted, for one, with the employees, and then obviously out with the public. So all of our employees. And when we say that, a lot of people get afraid because we're saying we're coming knocking on your door and coming to your house and actually sitting down in your living room and interviewing you. And a lot of people get nervous about that because you don't get that in most jobs. But no matter what position you are on our department, you get the same breadth of a background.
Any other questions? Anything else, Colonel Relford, relative to the staff report?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next item on the agenda, one of our favorites, the December 15th, 2025 meeting minutes. Mr. Graves, start with you.
It's all good,
Everything good?
Mr. President, I do believe.
Okay, Madam Secretary?
All good with me too.
Okay. There being no changes or observations other than all good relative to the meeting minutes of December 15th is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? There being none, the minutes are unanimously approved. Next item on the agenda, Colonel Relaford, Police Rule 5, dealing with promotions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. One of the core values Superintendent Colonel brought in with our department and their administration is character. With that being said, we brought to you last year when we updated one of the standards to be a trooper was the 60 credit hours, 60 college credit hours. And what has been looked at over the last year also is reevaluating what the components are and the weight scale of the weight in our promotion process. With that being said, more of an emphasis in the terms of that character is how you represent yourself, how you represent the department, and then also how you're able to communicate with others. You have a red line version and a final version in front of you, but what you'll see is at one point in time, or as we speak, 40% of the 100% were both with the written exam and the oral interview. And so it was heavily looked at in terms of how can we better showcase our personnel in terms of, one, them speaking for themselves, how they speak, what they say, and then also what they've done in their career. A lot was happening in interviews where a person wasn't able to speak about what they've done in their career. And if they weren't asked the question, what have you done in your career? And so I want to give them an opportunity also with the resume, not only to submit the resume, but they have to give an oral presentation of their resume. And that would occur during the or before the oral interview. So they would have 5 minutes to present what they've done in their career, present their resume, training experience, knowledge, skills, and abilities. And then they would go into the formal oral interview after that. And so when you're looking at these percentages here, it was looking to go from 40% on the written exam to 25%, adding the component of the resume, which is 5%, changing the oral interview percentage from 40% to 50%, and then the education and military remain 10%, and longevity and security, so seniority remaining 10%. And so I know I said a lot there. You probably have questions, but I just want to pause there for a second.
I'm just surprised that we don't put a little more weight onto evaluation scores.
Which score, I'm sorry?
Evaluations, the resume evaluation. And that, I mean, you're talking about the normal evaluations that are done on each.
So Dave, part of that is there's not a score, so to speak, on an evaluation. We rate them in categories, and it doesn't come out to 100. Like there's no point system score. It's there's 3 categories there.
There's actually on the new form, there's more than 3.
But it doesn't actually give you a score, so there's no way to come up with it's more for the supervisors to write about their accomplishments, what they need to improve, what they're doing well, but it doesn't say you're an 85, you performed at an 85. It doesn't give us that, so we don't have a weighted score. There's no way, wasn't a mechanism to put a score so that we could rate that in the promotion process. That's where some of that resume comes in. That's why we wanted to add the resume, is that it gives that person a chance to go into the interview and sell what they have been doing and what they've done over their career, which they may or may have not gotten that opportunity before because it all depended on which 10 questions the board picked. And if they didn't pick a question that allowed you to tell about yourself as far as your experiences on the department, then you didn't get that opportunity. And that's kind of why we just kind of speak a little bit, wasn't exactly what your question was, but before it was 40% for your written score, 40% on your oral. So that was 80% of your score And we just felt like that just because you can go in and study for a specific test doesn't mean you're the right person to get promoted. And that was 40% of the score. So if you went in and got a 95 because you're a good studier and test taker, you were ahead of the game going into the promotion process. So we wanted to put more weight on that person being able to go in and sit through an interview that's stressful, right? We've all sat through those. Sit through an interview, tell about your experiences and what you're going to do different or how you would carry yourself in a certain situation, and then also add this 5 points or 5% to be able to tell about your past, how you got to where you're at on your resume. So a little more weight towards an interview and what you've done versus just being able to take a test. It's still a portion of it, but it's not a 40% portion of it. It's now just a quarter of it. But the reason there was at one time, there was an evaluation portion of this. I think it was 5%. But back when we had the score where you could get 104 on your evaluation, which we went away from that years ago.
Inconsistencies there.
Yeah.
And like if you apply for a detective's position and you might have a great test score because you have time to study for the test, and you may not have worked any cases. I mean, we thought it was, obviously more, adequate, more appropriate for somebody to say, give some feedback of like, what cases have you worked in? How would you apply that to this position or et cetera, more job-specific information.
And that's kind of where the recommendations come into play, Dave. Truthfully, like each supervisor gets to send up a recommendation on the applicants for the jobs. And that's kind of where based on, you're looking for their evaluation. Well, that's kind of their evaluation. Their first line supervisor gets to tell what they've done good, what they're not good at. And then their next line supervisor does the same all the way up to the colonels. And then we take that into consideration also when we're picking those jobs.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense.
Just more insight.
I was thinking that you had mentioned that writing skills had become somewhat lacking.
They have, and we're noticing that in our academy. It's the cell phones, everyone's texting or short texting, and we have emphasized more back into our academy about police writing, more of a elongated course for writing, like actually getting pen and paper out and writing instead of using your phone or whatever AI device that you may have, software that you may have to type up something for you.
Because that was why I was concerned that the written part, like
But-
40 to
but they're not writing in that.
Oh,
Maryland.
okay.
It's a
They're
multiple
not-
choice
okay.
test.
It's a test over our SOPs, rules and regulations. They don't handwrite anything.
Yeah.
It's a multiple choice.
And actually, this allows them to capitalize on that same line. We've noticed people, because of these phones, are not able to talk to each other. So this now, they're going to give a presentation about their resume, so they have to communicate with the promotion board. And it also shows that we find oral communication very important. We're getting 50% as your oral interview. You have to be able to talk to people in this job or you're not going to be successful.
So with their written resume, is that like, do you look at that for style and spelling errors and all the things?
Absolutely. It is a graded
that I look
portion.
at?
So they have to submit it when they submit their application. So the oral interview board chaired by a captain or a major, they'll actually get the resume and score it along with the presentation that they're going to give. So it's not just a piece of paper. It's actually going to be evaluated. And they're going to give guidelines on what needs to be contained in a resume, but it's up to them for it to be professionally done.
So what are the guidelines basically for the resume?
Content, so obviously include training experience, time frames, job relevant experience to what you're applying for. And so there's not going to be guidelines. It has to be this many pages or this format and margins or anything like that. The content is what needs to be in there. So give them freedom to have their own creativity and how they present their resume.
Criminal history.
I hope we have that.
Well, the description in here looks a little more like a vita than
Could pass it
than
up.
just a straight resume.
Now, if you
Coming
got
from
the
an
red,
academic.
the red line version, you'll see in red on page 3. That's the content that's gonna be included. Or should be included in the resume.
So the resume kind of also gives the interviewers a chance to probe even deeper, I assume.
Yes, sir, and that's more the informal aspect of the interview, and it's an icebreaker. Now, the easiest thing to talk about is yourself, because you don't know what 10 questions are about to come.
Right.
And so it's an opener for them to talk about themselves, brag about themselves a little bit before it gets formal into the questions.
Well, I've always liked the idea of increasing the weight of the oral interview because I think that tells a lot more about who you're evaluating than a straight out test score. So, right.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent, because it really does, you're seeing what somebody did from their resume, and then they're having an opportunity to articulate the things that they've done, and you see the experience that they have. And before, if someone's just blowing out a test, that doesn't mean that they're gonna have the right aptitude to handle those situational things that happen, and you have to make those decisions. So it gives a really good background of who you're looking at to promote, for sure.
Well, I'm glad to hear there's a focus on the writing,
Awesome.
because that's huge, especially all the things that you have to write. Reports and
Well, that's always a problem. I don't care what department it is, the writing sometimes is really bad. I've told you before, I think, that when I retired, one of the things they presented me with at my retirement party was a box of red ink pens, because I wrote all over case reports.
Back to your DIC days.
Not you, Tom. No boy.
And so
Dave.
with approval, these, the promotion tests are in April this year, and this will take effect in May after the promotion tests are completed. This
So this
updated percentages will take effect in May
will take effect after the next
Round of testing.
round of texting.
of
So
written exam, yes, sir.
it won't apply to the April, is what you're saying?
Correct. It won't apply until after that and start in May.
Okay. So the final changes are in the one we have that's
The non-red,
the non-red.
yes, sir.
Okay. And that will not officially take effect until May 1st of this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so since we have to vote on it, we'll make it clear that the amendments to Police Rule 5 dealing with promotions, which we have been given, and I don't know if we want to make it Exhibit A just for the record. Maybe we'll do that for the non-red version.
Did you want a copy with the minutes or just refer to that document? Do you want it filed, like print it and attach it to the minutes?
Well, we probably ought to attach it since it is a formal amendment. It's not taking effect until May. Let's mark it as Exhibit A for purposes of this meeting. So we've got it documented in the minutes. So there's no dispute that it's not one taking effect till after the next testing period, and two, that's the exact format that we're voting on.
It's coming to you today because we have to send this out to allow the troops time to prepare for the testing
Oh,
in
okay.
April.
Makes sense.
So,
Okay, so any other questions relative to Police Rule 5, the changes for promotions? Okay. If there are no further questions, is there a motion to approve what has been titled Exhibit 1 for purposes of this meeting, Police Rule 5 changes to take effect on May 1st of 2026?
Motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving Police Rule 5 as amended in Exhibit 1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? There being none, the Police Rule 5 changes have been unanimously approved to take effect May 1st of 2026. I think I got it all in there. Okay, next item on the agenda, Colonel Hill. We've got a K-9 retirement.
Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. For your consideration, the retirement and transfer of a 7-year-old K-9 Micah, a Dutch Shepherd, is being retired due to the fact that her handler, Master Trooper Eric Perkins, is leaving the program, and the K-9 cannot be reassigned due to her age. Master Trooper Perkins has agreed to assume responsibility and care for Micah and assume all liabilities, and including retaining the kennel for the purpose of securing the K-9. And the handler is in good standing in the K-9 program currently.
Just out of curiosity, generally, at what age do we retire canines?
A lot depends on what their physical health is at the time, and that has a lot to do with especially the bigger breed of dogs, the German Shepherds
Okay.
especially. They'll get a little more life out of the melon wall typically, or if it's just a drug dog, they typically have a longer work span than what our dual and triple purpose dogs have.
Okay. So this particular canine, because of it's a he, right?
Yes.
Because of his age, and it would be too difficult to transition him to a new
That's
handler, correct? Okay. Okay.
I'd say between 7 and 10 years.
Yeah, I'd say 5 to 8 with our multi-purpose and,
Okay.
you know, it just depends on
Okay.
the health of the dog.
Yeah, I never realized until you brought up the age factor here with a handler retiring.
And especially with the, I don't know, the rigor that, you know, their duties, I'd say, their daily duties, I'd say.
Mhm. Anyone else have any questions relative to the K-9 retirement? There being no further questions, is there a motion to approve the K-9 retirement agreement and conveyance of property of K-9 Micah? A motion to approve?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the K-9 retirement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? There being none, the motion is unanimously approved. Thank you. Okay, Superintendent Scott, any comments you wish to make at this point? We're getting close to the end of the agenda here.
It's Friday afternoon. Just briefly, though, we do have a significant southern, obviously, snowstorm and cold event coming up starting tomorrow. We'll obviously be all hands on deck. The National Guard's spooling up some teams to help too. The EOC will be activated starting Saturday at noon. So hopefully it goes off without a hitch and everybody stays safe. So that's it.
Okay, any board members?
Welcome again, Mike.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mike.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, just my final comment, once again, congratulations and thanks to the CBID people for all their hard work on the interstates with the trucks. I've noticed changes. I've gotten good feedback from some people in my community up north, and congratulations to them for their hard work. So,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, the next state police board meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 16, 2026, 9 a.m. at the CBID office here in Indianapolis. And I believe that's all we have. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? There being none, we are done. And everybody have a safe and hopefully warm weekend.
Yeah, your boys will leave me alone going home.
We adjourn at 2:57.
I'm like, the word you're looking for is rubric.
So do you have to do something to this?
I'm getting down the road.